Good afternoon, Springfield. My name's Eric Matta. I'm here today at Littleton and Rue Funeral Home with Rob Rue.
Yeah.
We want to have a good conversation today about what's going on in the community, how this coronavirus is affecting not only just the community, but the business community, and just have a little bit of a discussion today with, we got some special guests we're going to be bringing on, so we want to have just an open dialogue with the community. You're more than welcome to ask questions. So Rob Rue, thank you we're trying to keep our social distancing here as well. So I'm going to stay over here on my side of the table.
One of the, I called Eric the other day and I'm like, Eric, I'd like to get online and just have a conversation, because I just feel like for a lot of us, if you're like me, you're wearing a few different hats.
Right.
Not only are you wearing a hat like I am, being concerned about my family. You know, I've got 5 children. And then also, you know, I'm concerned. I have the business here. I'm concerned about the business. I'm concerned about the people, how we take care of people within the funeral business. I'm concerned about them. I'm concerned about the operation within the business and how we do things well to protect our associates, our Littleton and Rue family, if you will. And then I'm also concerned about the city. I'm a city commissioner, and I'm involved in meetings where you know, I'm getting facts and listening to our city manager as well as other commissioners just kind of report on facts and discuss things and what decisions we can make for the city. So lots and lots of different hats that I'm wearing, and I'm sure many of you are. Many concerns. So many things are flying around. I want to say right now, I am not an expert on things we're talking about. I've actually reached out to a few people that I've been in contact with throughout this time. One of them is a peer of mine, Kyle Conroy, who owns Conroy Funeral Home. We're going to call him in a little bit just to get this perspective from different funeral businesses and how we're even handling this. Because people ask us the question, you know, what are you guys doing? And you know, with these different restrictions that are just continuing to hem in on us, how are we serving families? And so I've had conversation with Kyle, I've had conversation with Frank Lewis, and others that are just concerned, Shelley from Ferncliff Cemetery and Funeral Home, just trying to talk and open the dialogue. Because I can tell you from everybody I've talked to, whom I respect in each one of those, and others that I haven't mentioned, I respect because I know what they're dealing with and how they want to do this with excellence and just making sure people are taken care of. I also reached out to Mike McDorman, our chamber president, because Mike is on the forefront of seeing how this is impacting small businesses. And I thought we'd just kind of call him in a little while and just kind of get his perspective. Also have been in several meetings with our county health commissioner, Charlie Patterson. And I got an email today. It was elated that he was willing to just come on and talk a little bit. So much information out there. And then I also reached out to Dr. Matt Frantz, who's in charge of a lot of these things going on at Clark State and how they're handling it as a university. So those are people that I wanted to speak with and talk to and maybe get some of their perspective. So we're going to call them in a little bit. But I wanted to kind of start on the funeral home business side and say, and I'm certain I can speak for every business in the community when I just say this: everybody is open and their hearts are open to take care of the families in this community that lose their loved ones. I think that's a blanket statement. I don't think anybody would disagree with me on that. And we want to make sure that we're cautious and careful protecting our staff in the community. So everybody is learning how to adjust in this pandemic crisis. And there's lots of information, and Kyle and I will talk together that we're being flooded with through our associations and things of how we need to prepare. And so that's just really important. And then we have families, you know, as the information has continued to come in. I was watching the governor speak at 2 o'clock, and I just want to say personally, I'm speaking from my own personal perspective. I'm speaking from my own, I'm not representing the city of Springfield. I mean, I am a representative, but these are my opinions. Absolutely. And I just want to say that I'm appreciative of what the governor is doing. I'm nervous. I got fear like you do, but I appreciate the firm actions he's taking, and painful and difficult. I sense that they're compassionate about this, and I think Dr. Acton also just how they're handling this, super difficult. And I can say also this, just in my small role with the city, you don't know until you know
Yeah.
these decisions that need to be made. Our mayor declared our city the state of emergency the other day, and he said the last time he thought he had what it was going to have to do this was in 2000 when there was this whole Y2K scare. Well, as he said openly, that didn't happen, but this has happened.
Yeah.
And we are in a state of emergency. And I just want to say for a lot of folks, and I don't know if 10 people watch this or 20 or 30, I don't care. But I do want to say this, that I was super skeptical, 3 weeks ago. I was. I'm like, come on, man. I mean, is this really going to be what it is? And you start to hear the stuff, and I'm like, come on. And I just want to say, this last Saturday morning, I sat in a meeting with 30 community leaders, our health commissioner, and others, and it began to really, really hit home. Now, I was beginning to see this is going to be impactful, but it started to hit home, and my weekend went from where I thought I was just going to have a casual weekend to it was full on and making decisions for the business community.
And it's really up in the air about how long we're going to be like this. Nobody really knows right now.
Yeah. I said to our staff family on Monday morning when we have these little meetings in the morning, and I said every decision just feels like a poker decision.
Yeah.
This was on Monday, right? Today's Friday. So on Monday I feel like you got a pair, you got 3, you don't know how many chips, what you're going to bet, and is this going to be the right decision? Am I going to lose everything? How am I going to make this decision? So as the government has continued to move forward and clamp down on things, it's a little bit easier to make these decisions.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, one thing I'm excited about is to hop on the phone with the experts in the community about the stuff we want to discuss. There's a lot of discussions on Facebook from people who have opinions, and I think that that's okay, but I think that the folks we're going to be dialing in with today are going to shine some light on some factual information and just share their perspective, and I think it would be good to hear from us. So, Rob, who are you dialing up first?
I'm going to dial up Kyle first, just because I was getting ready to discuss just a little bit more about the funeral business.
Okay.
Kyle, I'm calling you. Kyle, how are you?
Can you hear me, Rob?
Yeah, we sure can, loud and clear.
Hi there.
Just want to appreciate you coming on here, and we've had a couple conversations, but why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about your perspective and how Conroy Funeral Home has been making some changes, and I know we even talked about one today we haven't done, so go ahead.
Yeah, obviously this is just unprecedented for everybody. It's crazy, just to say the least. So everyone's just being forced to adapt in ways that we never have before, maybe never even thought of before. So obviously, just like every business and every funeral home in town, our number one priority, our number one concern is public safety. Safety for our families, safety for the public that comes in and out. We have a lot of public that comes in and out of our doors every day in a normal work day. So having to adjust that to limit the number of people that can come in has been pretty dramatic.
And it's super hard to think about that, isn't it, Kyle? Because like in our business, and as you and I've seen over our entire lifetime and career, this is the business where people need the hug, they need the handshake, they need the close proximity
I
of
caught
friends.
myself. Yeah, I got caught today. A girl I went to college with who I haven't seen in several years. It was a service for her grandpa, and as soon as she walked in, I went to hug just out of my natural instinct, and she took a step back. Of course, we both had a little laugh about it. So it's hard to adjust when part of your job is shaking hands and hugging and embracing people and being face to face with them. So yeah, it is. It's just we've had to just adjust in ways that we never even considered before.
And Kyle, I wanted to also, you and I talked about the one service. You've had several services since this, as things have progressed. I've had a couple the one of them I wanted to bring up because Jim Scobie, his wife Jimlyn, who had passed this last week, that to us at our place, that was the first family where we had to have that compassionate, difficult conversation of, how do you want to proceed, kind of put that ball in their court and then just kind of guide them through that. And The other day at the service, I stood in the back of the church over at Main Lane, and it was, I think there was 40 people there. And I'm just like, this is a service, and you and I've had so many of these types of services. This is a time where this place would have been full of the community and friends that to come and support.
That I mean, under normal circumstances would have been a huge service, and that's going to be just a difficult thing for us and for families moving forward, saying we can't do that. And for the most, actually not even for the most part, completely as of now, our families have been very understanding for that. They've been asking almost before we've been able to bring it up, how do we deal with this? Yeah. And with guidance from, the CDC and the National Funeral Directors Association, our state association, working with you, Rob, and talking with the other funeral homes in town. It's been a big group to go to, an important group to go to, and get information and guidance from each other on how to handle it. Yeah. But our families have been very understanding, and I think the longer this goes on, the more understanding families will be. It's obviously going to be a hard adjustment for them.
Have you had the same conversation that we're saying as far as we're just going to go ahead and wait maybe a couple months? We'll see when we'll have a service then, maybe a memorial service. Have you faced that already too?
I haven't had that conversation yet. All of our services, at least ones that we have scheduled now, were scheduled earlier this week or over the weekend. So, this thing's progressed pretty rapidly. But at this point going forward, we'll be having that conversation with all our families. And the services we had today and the one we have on Monday, it's private. Both families were totally fine with that. And I mean, they know that they need to limit it. We've offered webcasting, which we did our first one today. We got that set up relatively easily, which was a blessing, and had several phone calls yesterday and today as far as how do we watch, how do we watch, how can we participate, and so that's picked up interest, and luckily it's something that just technology today has made easy to do.
Yeah, I think that's some of the guidance that you and I have been reading about on from the National Funeral Directors, offering the opportunity for when the family has to make arrangements, they can do it on, we can meet like FaceTime on the phone or have that conversation, just have the limited interaction if possible. And then, of course, just offering that private time where they could be there as family, be in the funeral home, or be somewhere where they can actually have that expression of grief with a few close family members.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you kind of wanted to share just overall on your thoughts about this whole thing?
Wow.
Sorry with the broad question. Sorry, man.
No, I mean it's just a shock. It's surreal. I'm thinking about it 24/7, waking up in the middle of the night thinking about it, thinking about how I'm going to handle it as a father and a husband, but also as a business owner. And it's a real difficult business and industry to be in at this time, and having to deal with it.
Yeah, a lot of people can, a lot of the businesses that have had to cease operations or modify, they have, my wife and I were talking, they kind of had just one decision to make, like, hey, we're going to work from home and we're going to be able to do this from home. You and I and the other funeral homes in this community, we can't do that. We're going to have to get that, we're going to get that call. We're going to get that time where we're going to have to go into a facility that may have a known contagious situation that we're going to face. And so there's that fear too, isn't it? There's like that, oh man, we're going to get that call. We're going to have that situation, and God give me strength to be strength for that family and give them the opportunity that they need. Right. Right.
Yep. Show up. Be strong in our job and provide that support in a professional way, in a humane way, and still treat them like we treat every other family.
Kyle, one of the things you and I talked about earlier today is that what our National Funeral Directors Association did this week was they lobbied Congress to get us on that list of essential personnel that needed to stay operable in this time, and also have the ability to get the personal protection equipment and things like that. And I think you were glad, like I was, that we made that list.
Oh yeah, and I know they've worked on that for a long time with Department of Homeland Security. That they named mortuary workers as critical infrastructure workers. And again, this is just an unprecedented situation that to be a national emergency like this, as opposed to something that just affects one city or one part of the country. This affects everyone nationally, and when it comes down to it, and unfortunately in the long run, we will play a vital role in it. And it's a blessing that they were able to get that worked out with DHS and include us in that.
Yeah. Well, you have any questions for Kyle?
Oh, that's good.
Man, I truly appreciate you coming on, just talking and being here with us, and respect what you do.
I appreciate you.
Peace to you and your family, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the near days ahead.
Well, I appreciate you having me and reaching out to me several times over the last week so we can work together and serve our community as one. And we're not competitors. We never have been. We're here to serve the community, and we need to be on the same page and work together to handle this situation.
Yeah. Thanks a bunch, Kyle.
So, thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye. Yeah, one of the things that I saw this. I'm actually I have an online engaged friendship with the mayor of Redding, California. Her name's Julie Winter, and California's on lockdown now. And she put quickly in the beginning, she posted a couple of things. I'm like, that is just golden. So I told her I've got to share that in my community, because one of the things she said, this is a war, and I know the governor's talked about this, but this is the time where we need to set our minds and our hearts for sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it's super difficult to think that, but there is an opportunity today that this generation has never had, and this polarized nation has never seen, is in the midst of this tragedy and things to come, that we are actually going to bond together more than we're all, because I've heard this more than once now from Republicans, Democrats, all kinds of people, that we're in this together, and this is one fight. And I can only imagine that this is what an 18-year-old felt back when we were attacked. Our country was attacked in World War II. We were engaged in that we're going to fight this together. So I know that's in the midst of all this. It's just one of those thoughts I have. But I know we got a couple more.
What a ton of respect for the funeral home director community, to have that type of bond between you guys.
And I can confidently say that's. I guarantee every funeral home is just as concerned and just wanting to make sure they're doing the right thing for the public. So
great deal,
for sure.
I'm impressed.
Hey, Mike, what I want to do is kind of reach out to you and Charlie Patterson at the same time, if you're good with that. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a call and get you on the horn. Actually, Mike, I'll get you on real quick first, and then we'll merge in Charlie in a minute. But as I'm calling you, one of the things that I thought is that you kind of would talk a little bit about what you're hearing from the business community and things like that. I'll start ringing you now. But
hello.
Hey, Mike. Mike McDorman, president of our chamber. Thanks for jumping on here.
No problem. Glad to be with you, Rob.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I just wanted to get you on here because I know that you kind of got your finger on the heartbeat of the business community and the overall picture, and kind of wanted to hear some of your thoughts and perspectives.
Sure. Well, obviously this is a great time for concern, but not panic. I think that this is a great time for our community from the standpoint of leadership. Everyone is working together. There's almost daily calls between the city, county, many community leaders and partners talking about developments day to day with regard to COVID-19 and where we're at, where we're going. We have to feel really good about our local hospital. I mean, Mercy Health is well prepared for this virus. In fact, they prepared the second floor of the hospital to be the location where any and all patients regarding this virus would go to. And the fact that it's a newer hospital, it is better tooled for this type of virus. So, from the standpoint of our employers, our employees and coworkers, our family members, our friends, we're in good hands when it comes to the healthcare environment here, as well as the community leaders that are working hard every day, fighting this pandemic on a local level.
Mike, one of the things as I was listening to the governor speak today is that the one thing about when Mike DeWine speaks and he starts to hint, he starts to throw in little hints of things to come. And today you didn't have to listen too hard to say that he is encouraged by what small businesses are doing to protect. Right. And so I heard that pretty loud and clear, and usually that's either a next day reaction or 4 days from now. Your thoughts on that and what could be coming down from the governor?
Yeah, and I think what the governor was speaking to is good actors, bad actors. And there's still some bad actors out there from the standpoint of businesses that are not adhering to what both the state government is telling us to do, and from a local level, what we're trying to do. I mean, we have declared a state of emergency in our city, and so we need to take every precaution from the standpoint of business leaders. Anytime we have employees, we need to take incredible caution with regard to this virus. And, in order to flatten the curve, if we can flatten the curve, we can get through this in a relatively shorter amount of time. But if we have people allowing, practices that are putting people in jeopardy, then that'll only extend the length of time that this virus will be, creating havoc on our communities.
Yeah, one of the things that because I've been in that other list of exemptions, right? So gatherings can happen. We've been kind of exempt in the past, and some other nonprofit organizations, churches, etc. And I thought to myself about 3 days ago, I'm like, we cannot hide behind our exemptions for the sake of public safety. I mean, we've got to go ahead and make the hard decisions. What do you think that's the all right mindset to have?
I believe absolutely that's the right mindset to have. It's public safety first. I think Charlie Patterson, our health commissioner, has made that very clear from a county perspective, and all the work that's going on behind the scenes. And it goes back to trying to flatten the curve. If we can keep this disease from going rampant in our communities, then we can flatten the curve and hopefully get through it with minor casualties.
Yeah. Hey, why don't you hang on with us for a minute? Let me get Charlie on here as well, see if we can get him on, and then we'll come back, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, I need Charlie to answer, right? Busy man, one of the busiest in Clark County right now. He is constantly, his organization has been constantly putting out information to make sure that we are together. Hopefully this is the right number too, right? If not, I'll be like, sorry, thank you.
Charles Patterson, may I help you?
Charlie, it's Rob Rue.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, I'm going to go ahead and merge you on with Mike, and we're on live here, okay?
Okay.
Hello. Okay. Mike was just talking about you a little bit and what's going on at the hospital, so I thought we'd just go ahead and bring you on, Charlie. And as I was telling Mike that, the governor was kind of hinting on the next, I think he hints on the next step, and then it happens the next day or the next 3 days, but he talked about small business today and health concerns. I thought you would go ahead and it'd be good to maybe give us, what is going on in Clark County now that you could let us know, that I'm sure you've already let the reporters know or whatever. Anything you can go ahead and share with us would be helpful.
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is that we've had very few complaints of businesses, restaurants and bars and clubs and gyms and workout areas. We've had very, very few complaints. And those complaints, when we've gone out and we've educated those folks, everyone is being compliant. So it seems that the majority of folks in Clark County understand what the governor's trying to do, what the director of health has signed orders on, and people are complying. I think it took a couple days for everybody to understand how serious this is. I think that the case that we've had in Clark County and the just nightmare scenario that has been developing over in Miami County at the nursing home have unfortunately been a great wake-up call for all of us to understand how quickly it can spread and how many people can be affected, and the ultimate outcome can be a very, very a negative thing for a community. So I'm happy that people are staying home. I'm happy that people are complying with the governor's orders, and I agree with you that foreshadowing is once again happening from the governor that if people aren't going to comply, then he's going to do something similar to what the governor of Illinois did today, and basically tell everybody they have to stay home.
So Illinois did make that announcement today. I did not see that. So they basically did what California did?
Yes, that happened. That happened this afternoon, in fact, in Illinois.
So in this scenario, go ahead, keep talking.
Well, it's just interesting that the Illinois has been following Ohio in most of the decisions that have been made, and this is one time where they're ahead of Ohio in that declaration.
So in the event that kind of announcement's made, what's that begin to look like for, just bring that home, if you could just bring that home for us?
Well, it looks like empty streets.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like the small businesses that Mike was talking about earlier, or the big businesses. It looks like many of them are shutting down, are going to have to shutter their doors. I don't know if you've been watching Dr. Tony Fauci from the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. He said today that this isn't a one-week thing, that Americans should expect to be shuttered for a couple of weeks if we're really going to make a dent in this disease. So I do think it looks like essential personnel only traveling to and from where they need to be and doing what they need to do. And I think we're going to get reacquainted with our families. We're going to get reacquainted with our friends on social media or by telephone. And if enough people do the right thing, most of us will live through this and we'll be able to look back someday and understand the history that we were a part of.
Mm-hmm. So in states that are in this half of the United States, like Louisiana, there's some statistics there that are a little daunting, and they may have been behind the curve. Is that right? Can you speak to anything that you're kind of watching and monitoring that maybe they didn't react as swiftly as Ohio did, and the differences?
Well, there's some great concerns that in Virginia, for instance, they're not, their restaurants aren't closed. The schools closed a couple days after Ohio, but they haven't been shuttering the businesses and slowing down the spread there. And unfortunately, in the long run, those are going to have negative effects because it will eventually hang on a little bit longer and be a little bit more deeply rooted, and then potentially affect us here in Ohio more. I would have to tell you that our, politics aside, whether you like our governor aside, he has been leading the nation, especially the Great Lakes region, on what should be done and how we can stop the spread. We don't have enough therapeutics. We don't have enough of the right medicine. We're still working out what the right medicine is. We don't have enough ventilators. We don't have enough hospital personnel and beds, and we don't have enough tests right now. So the one tool that we have that's the major tool here is the non-pharmaceutical intervention, which is limitations of movement. Mm-hmm. And our governor has been out front in limiting the movement of individuals, limiting the gatherings of individuals where this virus can spread. And unfortunately, we know that the spread is occurring sometimes to people. We know that people are even sick. Mm-hmm. And those asymptomatic carriers are the ones that are really the most insidious part of this. If your left ear turned blue, when you got this disease, we'd all go, "Oh, stay back from that person. They have a blue left ear." Mm-hmm. We can't see that. And unfortunately, in many cases, it's too late by the time we really see the symptoms to be able to stop the spread of the disease. That's why these dramatic measures have been put in place. And we're begging people to social distance and keep 6 feet apart. And even in their own homes, we're asking people to think about, social distancing from their own families so that if one of them does get sick, that it doesn't have to go through the whole household.
That's a hard one right there, for sure.
Yeah, and Rob, back to your point, and what the point Charlie's making is the governor made it very clear today that public health and safety is priority one. And from a business perspective, we realize there's an economic impact to a virus like this. However, that's a secondary priority, and he has tried to keep businesses operating. I agree with Charlie. I haven't heard a lot of complaints coming out of Clark County. However, he made it very clear today, as you indicated, that if this continues, there's going to be another state mandate that's going to come down, and it's going to be very hurtful to a lot of our businesses who are trying to continue operations during this time.
Mike, you have a lot of interaction with the different political leaders throughout the region, the area. Would you say, do you think there's also a political pressure now on Mike DeWine to respond because the Illinois governors responded and the California governors responded in the way they have?
Well, I think the governor has great resolve no matter what the pressure is. But I do think at this point he's got to stay with the plan, and I think Charlie laid that plan out, and that flattened the curve. I think the plan here is flatten the curve and try to keep people calmed down for the next few weeks to try to see if we can get through this. And, the fact that other states are slow or slower to bring upon their states these mandates is harmful to our state in the long run, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric, I've been talking a bunch. You got something from a different perspective you want to ask these guys?
I just appreciate the honesty and the transparency and the directness from our leaders. I think that we really need that, and I think that, like you talked about earlier, I was a little skeptical at first, but I see the severity of what's going on, and I respect it, and we'll be going straight home from here.
Yeah. People ask me how long? What do you think? And I know we hear the news 6 weeks or 4 weeks. What's that mean? But I've been encouraging family and friends that maybe reach out or text me. And again, my own personal opinion, not the opinion of a city commissioner or speaking from that platform. But I will say, embrace for the long haul, embrace for the economic impact. Be smart with your finances and be wise with that because. And this goes now right to Charlie. Charlie, how do you come out of a pandemic without a vaccine? How do you come out where you can be comfortable in society again without the concern of spread of the virus?
Well, I think there's a couple of ways. First of all, we use the science. We watch the indicators when we see what the spread of disease is, and the good thing is we're behind the curve. We all know that we're behind the curve. We don't have enough tests. We don't have enough personal protective equipment. But I would tell you, the United States is an amazing country, and we are fixing those things as we speak. We're figuring out new ways to get the personal protective equipment. We're figuring new ways. I just was on a conversation today about how the laboratory may be able to transport the COVID-19 swabs in saline rather than in the viral transport media, which we are so lacking. And so the ingenuity of Americans is taking over here. And so we have the ability to have more testing available in hopefully a very short time. And when we get to that point, then we can break out of this pandemic, because public health is going to be able to take the next step, which is better throw the net out there, find out who has it, and quarantine those individuals. Right now, many people aren't being tested. We don't know whether they have it or not, and they're being sent home to self-quarantine for 14 days. But we don't understand whether they have it or not, and it sort of ties our hands. As we're able to get more tests and make more tests available, that's going to be a great step towards coming out of that pandemic, even without the vaccine being manufactured and out there. So I'm very encouraged with what's ahead. It's something that we can overcome, but this shelter in place that's happening in other places, and shutting the schools down and the restaurants and stuff, that's going to make a difference to give us the chance to catch up with some of these things that we're seeing shortage of today.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I think this is the one thing I love about my community is I can just shoot out a text to these guys and other community leaders and just get some perspective. I appreciate you guys spending time with us a whole bunch. And is there anything you guys want to share before we go?
Well, I think I would say we need to remain calm and show kindness to our neighbors we can. We need to support local businesses we can. So if we look at our local and area restaurants, other services we're going to need, and during this time, we need to think local. And the Chamber has put out today an extensive list of restaurants and what their offerings are on Facebook, and we'll continue to share that type of thing. We also have an extensive resource page on our website, greaterspringfield.com, and it includes a lot of Charlie Patterson and the health commissioners, work that they're doing, and a lot of other people. So, take advantage of the resources out there. There's a lot of resources, and this community has come together under a crisis like this in a way I've not seen, and it's been really good to, as you said, Rob, to have community leaders that come together and work towards the greater good, and that's what's happening here in Clark County.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. Charlie, do you have any last thoughts before we go? I know you're busy.
I would echo Mike's thoughts. The community leaders really have been sharing information and having some additional understandings. I've reached out to a couple of our leaders, and I needed something for our operation, and no hesitation. People were like, "What do you need, Charlie? Tell me. If we got it, it's yours." Just no hesitation. But we really need to continue to understand the mental health aspects of not only the crisis, but of being shuttered, being shut in, and how many of our folks need that phone call from family and friends and neighbors just to check on them. I think we don't understand how much those of us that get out every day, we don't understand how much just that phone call, hearing another person's voice, letting them talk to us, we really need to try to do that. So appreciate the opportunity, Rob, to talk with you today about this, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you about it again.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate both of you. Take care.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt, I was going to give you a buzz, but I know we've been on here a while, but I know that Clark State has been amazing in their response, and so I'm going to postpone. We're going to maybe call a different time. It's been a while, but Matt's my lunch buddy. We both like sushi about as much as anybody, so we used to hit speakeasy every now and then. Good guy, Dr. Matt Frantz, and we'll maybe do this again later. But I just, like I said, like what Charlie was talking about, like, man, when I've called and I need something for the department, there's been no hesitation in getting that response, and that is like, if I can find in myself an opportunity to find a good thing somewhere in the midst of being stuck at home, or like I said, I've got 5 kids and they're bored out of their minds and they can't see their friends. But I will say this: we've homeschooled for 10 years, and my wife will get text messages and calls from maybe her family or others like, "How have you done this?" I'm like, "Because we're like, welcome to our world. We've been quarantined for 12 years." Haha, it's a little humor, but this is a time that our community can grow and just really move forward. There was something that I saw that I just wanted to try to find super quick before we jump off here that was encouraging. Of course, I don't have it up, but it was just about a perspective, like what does it look like during this time, and what can we be facing? Because like I said a little bit ago, we've never had this opportunity, tragedy, to come together as one and just really face this thing. And so let's seize the opportunity since it's here, since we have to walk through it, since we're our small businesses are facing the potential of having to close, and then the financial hardship that every one of us are going to be in, and nobody will be, this is just hitting across the board. So we're like, we're all on the same page in a way. And so it's just something that we can really embrace community. And Springfield has always had good community, and we've always been together on that. Somebody had put the other day, listed about a bunch of things. So I'm going to read this, if that's okay. I know we've been on here a while, so but this is, when this is all over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, a taste of communion, a routine checkup, a school rush each morning, coffee with a friend, the stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. When this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be, we were called to be, and we hope to be, and may we stay that way, better for each other because of the worst. And that's by this, I can't pronounce her last name, but Laura Kelly Finucci. I just wanted to quote her, but I just thought it's a great perspective since we're in the midst of this. It's probably longer than you ever wanted to go, right? I apologize.
43 minutes. We did great. I think we had a lot of good comment. We definitely got a lot of good comments. Delivered a ton of good information. Yeah. And it's
not hard to find good information. It is not hard to find truth in this whole thing. I believe that everybody's been very vulnerable about what could be and what is happening. Yeah. And even in my role now as a city commissioner, I'm getting the information, and as fast as I'm getting it, I'm seeing it shot right out there to anybody that could be affected. So I do appreciate that a ton.
Good deal. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, I know Rob will be in the comments, and he will be glad to respond to you. Hope everyone has a great day. Stay safe, folks.
Thanks for watching.